who are some of your heroes and why?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, there's a whole broad spectrum of people. Some of them, you know, good USAID people. Everything from my first aid director, which is a guy named John Coring, who's long since retired now, but he had a real vision for a comprehensive approach to development that I found you know, really compelling, if you will. That development, you can't just say, okay, well, I'm going to fix the health structure or the health systems in this country. That he really saw that you had to put the whole thing together to make it work. And then a lot of times it was just individuals out in the bush. I remember an MSF doctor working in southern Sudan had lived there for 3 years and for 6 months at a time without hardly seeing anybody from the outside, doing amazing work with Kala Azar, you know, a horrendous disease that attacks the lymph system, and just the dedication of the people who were really out there. And I thought, man, you know, I've got it pretty easy sitting in a place like Addis or other posts, even in Khartoum, but at least I was in a moderate city with electricity, and they were out there really doing amazing work. And so it just inspired me to try to keep up with that, and with whatever resources I have to try to meet the needs of the people around me.
The last question, really, a request here is that what advice would you give other Foreign Service officers, other non-governmental staff members who look at you and want to follow in this career path in order to achieve their own success and make an impact?
Well, one is stick to it. Okay, it's not a short-term thing. You're not going to go in there and save the world in a year or two. Maybe sometimes in disaster response, you can get a quicker feedback. You know, you can go in there, bring in food, and people start to improve very quickly. But mostly things take time. Secondly, really get to know the country you're in, the history, the culture, and then obviously, especially the people. And don't sit in your office and talk to the other Westerners that you know that you're dealing with, whether it's USAID or an NGO or something. But get out there, and you'll find amazing people in that culture, in the country you're living in, and as I mentioned earlier, who have some great ideas themselves, and they know what their problems are, and they can bring ideas, but they just need some resources, maybe some additional skills, and so really get to work with the local people in your country, and you'll find it first of all, I think you'll have more success in what you're trying to do. Secondly, you'll find it much more personally rewarding that you've gotten to know people like that. And sometimes when things get really frustrating, you can say, okay, well, but at least for this group of people that I'm working with, I've helped to improve their skills and their ability to take care of their own families. So at least you've helped that group. In some of the countries I've worked in, Sudan, in West Bank, Gaza, in Iraq, you know, I do sometimes think, well, you know, is it better off now after I've spent 5 years of my life here? Well, maybe not, but at least the people I've worked with, I feel like I've made some progress. You can't solve everything, but take a bite-sized chunk where you feel you can have some impact, and then work hard to have impact there, and that in conjunction with others and over time can have a larger impact.
That's great. Tom, I want to thank you again for coming on the Leadership Corner and also for inspiring the next generation of leaders.
Thank you. Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Great. Thanks.
Okay.